Let's do roll call.
Yes, since we don't have staff, I get to do the roll call. Item number 2. So, roll call, Vaughn Boinger
Here.
and Belinda Higuera
Here.
and David McDowell
Here.
and Paul Beck,
Present.
Alan Pardee.
Here.
Tucson Sarian is noted to not be here, and I'm here, Melanie Findling. Okay, item number 3 is for public comment. This is for items that are not on our agenda this evening. So we don't have anybody here in the audience, but I wanted to check and see.
We can't see.
It's this big. Can you make it any bigger?
So if we're
We can't-
wielding that part, you're going to be a busy
It's
guy.
worked before.
Oh, yeah?
You know,
So all right over here, you should see a yellow hand raised by these guys.
we can't see it.
I
Yeah,
can't
not
see
even
that. I
close.
need my binoculars, which is a good
Yeah,
option.
that's probably what we did
Since-
before.
Okay,
Since he's not
Vaughn,
here.
you're on duty for the hand raising.
Apparently. Wow.
There's nobody online.
No, there's nobody on there, so we can't even practice.
Okay, but now we do have some folks here, so I'll just give you the heads up. What we're doing right now is public comment for items that aren't on our agenda this evening. So if any of you would like to speak to us on an item that's not the item that's on the agenda, now would be your opportunity. Otherwise, we'll have another opportunity for the public to address us during our agenda item number 4, which is about the property on Ski Village Drive. So, are we
Did
good?
you understand what was being said?
We're interested in the property that's legal.
Okay.
Okay,
Great.
so good. So,
Thanks.
in a moment, we'll have an opportunity for you to speak to us about that. Okay, so no hands, no interest in the public comment. So we're going to move to item number 4, which is the variance and CEQA exemption adoption for 25 Ski Village Drive. Is Kyle?
Yeah, I'm here.
Here somewhere. Okay. Kyle, staff comments, please.
Sure. Can everyone hear me all right in there?
Yes.
Great.
We don't have.
Okay, yeah, so this
Do we have-
item
oh,
is
hang
for
on.
a variance
Do
and
we have,
adoption.
I'm going to
of
have you, oh, Kyle, hold on just a moment, please. Are we going to have video, or Kyle, are you, do you have a video or feed also, or just?
Hang on,
Audio.
our tech is getting your visual up. Looks like.
There
Yes.
you
Oh, there we go. Okay, now we
Wow,
see
we
you.
can wave
There
to
we
it.
go.
Great.
Okay, lovely. All right, thank you. Sorry for the interruption. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this item is for a variance and adoption of a categorical exemption to CEQA. The variance is to allow for the construction of a single-family home at 25 Ski Village Drive on a residential parcel by relaxing the city's land and development code standards on setbacks and minimum parcel size. The subject property includes 2 formerly separate parcels, each around 6,000 square feet, that were recently, in 2018, combined into a single legal parcel. The western portion, zoned commercial, has an existing triplex, and the eastern portion, where the home is proposed, zoned R1, previously contained a single-family home, but is currently vacant. So the code requirements on density and parcel size for the zoning requires 8,000 square feet per triplex and 4,500 square feet per single-family residence. Given this requirement, the subject parcel would need to be 12,500 square feet in total to legally have both a triplex and single-family home, while the vacant portion is 6,000 square feet, which is more than the usual requirement for a single-family home in C2 or R1 zoning. The whole parcel is only 12,000 square feet in total. The variance proposes relief from this size requirement. The code also requires front setbacks of 20 feet and rear setbacks of 10 feet. Given the subject parcel's narrow depth of approximately 50 feet from its frontage at Ski Village Drive, complying with these setbacks would limit any development's width to 20 feet, which is uncommonly small for a single-family home. So the variance also proposes relief from these setback requirements to a front setback of 15 feet and a back setback of 5 feet. This project was found to qualify for a categorical exemption to CEQA by section 15303, new construction or conversion of small structures, as subsection A specifically mentions allowing for construction of a second dwelling in a residential zone, which is what the proposed variance would enable. So for findings, as mentioned, the parcel's unique circumstances would be pre-existing triplex and narrow width prevent the kind of single-family home development that would usually be in line with the property entitlement of a residential parcel. So the proposed variance to parcel size and setback requirements would give the parcel the minimum relief necessary to regain that entitlement and enable construction of a reasonably sized home while not adversely affecting other properties in the area or zone or undermining the purpose of the zoning. Staff recommends approving the variance as described. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Commissioners, we have an opportunity for questions. I'll start at this end. Vaughn, do you have questions for Kyle?
I do.
And let's make sure you're in the mic so he can hear you.
Okay. If it's on, is it on? Yeah. Okay,
Yes.
good. All right. It's just right around the corner. I couldn't figure out if this was the backyard of where the triplex is,
Yes.
or if there's is that what it is? So it's
Did you
just that little small, yeah, I
That
did.
vacant
I just
lot.
couldn't make heads or tails of it. And
There's
so
an
my
area.
question is, how many square foot house are they planning to put there?
2.
Oh, so the question was how many square feet would the house be if they have that much, or do we know?
I believe, I don't know if there's an exact figure, but I believe it was around 1,400 or 1,600 square feet. It's fairly small for a single family home.
That's a small lot. Okay, I don't have any other questions.
Okay, thanks. Belinda?
So does this zoning, will it be a C2 zoning, a residential home in a C2 zoning? Or it doesn't change the zoning and it's now C2 or 1, I don't know, one of those, commercial zoning, right?
Yeah, the zoning's interesting because the parcel was recently combined. It was previously two separate parcels which had different zonings. And as far as I'm aware, the zoning hasn't officially been changed. So it, in essence, has two zonings, even though it should only have one. But the development standards for both zones are effectively the same for what the project is proposing for a single family home. The setback requirements would be the same, the density requirements the same.
But it could also be used as a short-term vacation rental.
That's what it is.
Right, well, it's not. there's no
Yeah,
home
if
there
the
yet.
total zoning was changed to C2.
They could build this not as a single-family unit necessarily, but as something they can rent out on Airbnb or whatever, you know, that kind of thing.
Well, but the zoning technically right now is still R1 in that part
It's
of the
both
parcel.
zones, he just said that, because she combined, the original person combined it, so it became all C.
But it didn't, I believe. Go ahead, Kyle. We talked about this
Oh,
earlier.
Yeah, it's still listed as separate. So it's still considered R1, this portion of it. But if it was to be, if both parcels were to be made C2, regardless, vacation rental isn't in the plans for this property, for talking to the developer,
according
and
to,
a permit would be needed for that as well.
at this time, things change. The other thing is when I was looking at the diagram of the house, he said it was 15, it came out to one floor was 1,500 square feet. I think it was 50 feet long and 30 feet wide was the house. And that was the top floor. That's 1,500 square feet, basically. And,
Yeah.
and there's a downstairs. So it's not a small home. I live in a 1350, you know, and it's 3-bedroom and 2 bathrooms. So I'm kind of like going, I don't know what everybody thinks is a small home these days, but that is not a small home.
I think with the slope, it's not a full 1,500, 2 stories. I think the bottom story is only a half or potentially even only the garage.
That's,
No.
that's not accurate.
I guess we'll have to find out maybe when if the project proponent's here, maybe we can learn about that.
Yes. And my kind of suggestion to that is that it doesn't have to be such a big house. And we're giving him, he's asking for setbacks on all sides. So I'm kind of going like, well, what are we doing here? Okay, that's all. Go on. Melanie, go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Belinda. David?
I think Belinda had, so you're only giving front and back setbacks, so then does that mean what would be considered the front, Ski Village or the other street that's perpendicular to that corner?
Yeah, Ski Village is considered the front.
So then it'd be 5 feet setback from that other street? Because it's side
So
10 or
the
5?
side setbacks are actually pretty large. It's a long parcel. I believe 25 feet from that street to the east of it.
Okay.
25 feet from where?
20, is that, you said 25 feet from the street that's perpendicular to Ski Village?
Yeah, which I don't believe has a name.
Edge of curb
If you
or
can-
edge of
somebody
right
wants
of
to see
way
a
or
better
where?
View of it all, they're welcome to.
Right, we've got it's in our
No, I know.
packet.
But it's like a
You
5
can,
foot
but you
in the
can
back.
expand the pit.
5 foot, it's 3 sides have got setbacks that have changed from what it should be. It's from what this kind of marginal diagram is, right? Is that right, Kyle? I mean, it's like it should be a 20 foot on the Ski Village, it should be a 10 foot on the backside, and it should be something else on the side with the alley, so to speak. And he's asked for variances on
Both side setbacks comply with the zoning.
the side.
Oh, because there's 40 feet to the west and 25 feet to the east. So the variance is going to be north and south. If this
Yes.
has a north arrow on it, yes, it does.
And it's legitimate to go in using the alley, I don't know what that road is, the paved driveway.
The frontage would be on Ski Village Drive.
No, but is this, can you use half of that?
It's
Is
a private.
that
it's
his?
It's a private drive.
It's a what?
It's a
Private.
private drive. The one
Yes,
that's
no,
east,
it's a private drive, but is that a normal setback thing? Or should you be your setback to the edge of the drive?
well, my question is where is that 25 feet measured from?
From middle of the driveway, according to this.
Okay, the middle of the
It says
existing easement?
shared-
Yeah.
It says shared driveway.
25 feet, that's not much.
The required side setback is 10 feet. So I think even with that, it should be well beyond the minimum setback
Okay,
for either side.
So it's the front setback.
in the back.
Yeah, the front
That's the
going
concern.
from 20 feet to 15, and then the back going from 10 to 5
Okay.
is what is requested.
All right, David, how?
I'm good.
You good?
Yep.
Okay, Paul?
Okay, so a little clarification. We got a letter, I believe it was today. Was it Mount Shasta Tomorrow? Is that the correct name of that group?
Yeah.
And they were stating in there that we were using incorrect parcel numbers for this agenda item. Can you clarify that? Did you read the letter?
Yeah, because these parcels were recently combined, the available parcel information that I had was of the previous APNs, which if you look them up, still correspond to the project site.
Okay. Another thing is I'm kind of confused, not that it really matters, but so this was originally split and then combined and then split again? Is that correct?
No, it's currently still combined.
Okay.
So it was combined in 2018. It's previously two separate parcels.
I thought I read
Now
here,
it is.
it said recently split. I guess I read it wrong.
It's recently combined.
Oh, recently combined, okay. So my concern is on the setback from the garage to Ski Village. Most cars are, well, maybe not anymore, but a fair portion of vehicles are longer than 15 feet. And if you're not if you're parked outside of the garage, that's almost having like a foot of car hanging out in the middle of the street. I don't really understand how they intend to accomplish this with the setbacks they're asking for, so.
I believe that the garage would be facing to the west
Yeah.
Do you see?
rather than, so
Oh,
the garage
okay.
wouldn't be facing Ski Village Drive.
Okay. Okay. That's it for me. I have no further questions.
Okay, thanks, Paul. Alan?
There's quite a bit of grade change on this. I make this turn onto Ski Village kind of regularly.
Alan, can you get just a little bit closer?
There's quite a bit of grade change on Ski Village at this place. I make that corner often. And how that, and my, that used to be a school there for a short while that my daughter attended and that I worked on, so I'm somewhat familiar with the property. At the back end of it, where these two properties divide, there's a 6-foot retaining wall, maybe a little taller. And then from the top of that retaining wall to this drive, to this private drive, there's another 6 to 8 foot of grade change from that point, moving from west to east. And the diagramming of how the parking and the driveway and everything will work, it doesn't work. I mean, unless, notwithstanding standard construction, how you're going to, unless you, there's not enough information on this that's provided to us for me to make an educated guess as to the development that is proposed. And given that, I can't see myself supporting a variance that would affect that, how that site's developed. You know, it's already, it's a challenge site to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And there is more traffic on that road than you'd think, and how that turn occurs is kind of tricky. And it's over parked down through there already. I see cars parked in different places. So I would need, like I said, I'd need more information before I could support a variance on this.
Would that be because they would have to do some grading?
Quite a bit of grading.
Right, because I also, go ahead, are you done? Because that will segue into some of my comments and questions. One, so we require sidewalk, curb, and gutter to be installed, and so because that's a shared driveway to the east, we wouldn't require it there, but we would require it along the length now then of because it's a single lot, then would we then require sidewalk, curb, and gutter all the way down to the old state highway?
Yeah, so Public Works and Building have both weighed on this project previously. The determination for Public Works, I believe, was that curb and gutter would be required for the whole length going all the way to Ski Village Drive, which the applicant understands. Also for any building standards, they've talked about it with our building inspector, and whatever development ends up happening will of course need to comply with everything there, be signed off on by the building inspector to get a permit. So even though this application doesn't have complete building plans or anything, that would come later.
And so my question along with that is, so we understand that parking is challenging here.
Mm-hmm.
There's been so many uses for the existing building over the years. They put sidewalk, curb, and gutter all the way down to the bottom of all the way to the west end of the parcel. How does that affect, do we have the width to accommodate on-street parking, which it sounds like people might be using? They're squeezing up right next to the building.
There's a no parking sign.
So people are not parking.
No, right here, there's a no parking sign. It's all faded and washed out. You can hardly see it. But it says no parking here to the corner.
Oh, so, okay,
Yes.
so,
But, I mean, you really have to look.
well, okay, so putting in a sidewalk, that would definitely preclude anybody, that maybe even enforce that people couldn't park there, because we'd have it really well defined. And so, Kyle and I talked earlier, because I was wondering about the parking, and I understand there's concerns about the parking. I asked,
Couldn't get a sidewalk there anyway.
Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna work.
There's no sidewalk could go there.
well, that's one of my questions, right? How do we fit sidewalk, curb, and gutter
You can't.
as a condition, because that's a normal requirement when somebody builds a house, they put in sidewalk, curb, and gutter. So, and it's a single parcel. It also has a parking problem. I asked, because our parking ordinance requires 2 spaces, 1 covered and one can be uncovered per unit. So we have 3 units in the existing building. We have no covered parking. It sounds like there's a space in there that could have become a 4th unit. I don't know what they do with that space now. And so maybe Kyle, if you could explain, why isn't this a trigger to require enforcement of our parking ordinance on the existing structure?
Yeah, so the triplex is existing non-conforming, and it does not conform to the parking ordinance. The city's code on non-conforming site improvements, such as parking, and that's 18.24.040, does not outline any trigger for when these site improvements must be brought to conform to the code. It only establishes that nothing in the section shall prohibit minor site improvements that result in the reduction of this conformity.
No, can you repeat
So-
that last sentence,
Could you
please?
repeat? Yeah.
You were speaking a little quickly.
Sorry. Yeah, the only mention of non-conforming site improvements is that nothing in the section shall prohibit minor site improvements that result in the reduction of this non-conformity. So there's no trigger that comes in where an existing non-conformance for parking will have to be made to come in line with conformance.
So this would become either the planning commission might decide that that would be a condition, potentially, if we wanted to tackle that. And I'm not recommending that right now. I'm just trying to sort out a challenging spot. Adding more housing seems like a lovely idea. Generally, it's infill. It sounds like Public Works said we've got what we need out there. I know there's been some challenges around maybe water and sewer in that area, but I guess we can add a hookup and that's not a problem. Like I say, I'm wondering, you say that the Public Works signed off, they think they can get sidewalk, curb, and gutter all the way to the bottom, even though it doesn't look like it, to kind of tidy this up.
Did they speak to that?
So I just got word from the applicant. They're in the Zoom, but their microphone isn't working. So they've sent me a few inputs that I could share.
Did Public Works support the idea of actually extending a sidewalk all the way down?
Yes.
And that it could
Yeah,
be,
it's-
and that it could be done?
You
I
only
know.
get, you only get 2 feet there.
How are we gonna make a legal sidewalk past that piece of the building that sticks out? I mean,
Where somebody's parking.
well, no, that's not where, it's here.
And there's an existing fence line there with it still maybe got 2 feet.
Do you know what the existing building setback is from the street?
I want to say around 5 feet.
Yeah.
It's pretty small.
Yeah, you don't tear you know, you're not gonna tear that down, but it's the kind of thing to make it work. It should almost be like only the right-hand side of the
Yeah,
street
there's-
has sidewalks like
there-
some places do.
There's
because
not
of
5
that.
feet there.
because there's no way.
Well, it's been paved. It's hard to know where the line is, the lot line is. And somebody, even though it says no parking, clearly people want to park there because they need to access the doorway to their apartment. That's why somebody's parking
Yeah.
there, right? Because it's much more convenient.
I think we'd be exacerbating an existing problem.
Can't hear you.
But the existing house, my understanding, when I look at the site plan site plan, that's on the aerial imagery, it looks like the 3 parking spaces west of the proposed house footprint are for the
Yes, they are.
apartment or
Yeah.
for the, yeah, so we have parking, so are they providing 4 parking spaces for this house plus a paved driveway?
No. The 3 are for the
The
existing structure. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, then I just wonder if they're going to want to split this, which I think it's possible that somebody might want to split it, then you have this parking lot for the lower place awfully close to the house. I don't know. This is hard. This is not easy. It's a complicated one.
Well, I'd like to mention once again.
Go ahead.
This is, once again, a project being brought to us with plans that are marginal at best. The diagrams are, the photocopy isn't very crisp. It's not kind of professional. And it's not that I need it to be really professional, but I need it to be really clear, because otherwise we spend all of this time trying to fix this stuff,
Doing their work.
which we've done. This is not the first time that
Right.
this has come before us, and I'm getting a little, it should be much more clear.
Well, and some of it's incorrect. If you look at the cross-section down below,
Which page are you
the
on?
aerial, with the aerial.
Oh, okay.
There's a cross-section down below it. The first floor is accessed from that parking lot that's in the back of the house.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
The first floor,
In the aerial, they show 3 parking spaces. There's 3
Yes.
cars parked behind the existing building.
yes.
Those units, if you come out of there, you can access, there's still 2 stories above you that you can see from that parking lot level. You can walk into a door that's at grade, and there's still a floor above you. I think the interior of that place kind of steps up slightly somehow,
Yeah,
as I recall.
yeah, it's definitely an
We couldn't
interesting
get a
layout.
bathroom to work in there for the school, so,
I remember.
quite right, or access to it. So, I agree. And I'm not asking for construction documents. I'm asking for clear information. That's all. There's a lot of grade change across here. That's the sort of information that if you're asking to divert from standards, that you'd need to help support that decision, and we don't have it.
Well, would they need to grade versus just level the house as far as whatever the top grade is to the lower grade? Looks like maybe about 6 feet of,
Well, it doesn't look
And
like
fall.
I don't think they're grading it. That's what it looks like. They're not grading it. I don't know. Who knows? We don't know.
They'd have to grade it to get parking spaces and stuff like that.
That's
in there,
true.
And a building and those
Yeah.
sorts of things. And they're showing it 4 parking spaces and then a garage access from the same parking area. So you're not going to have more than about 5% slope across that running east to west. That's 3 feet. I need more information to know. I'm just guessing on what I saw out there.
Okay, well, maybe it's good time to talk to the project proponent.
Well, he said he had some input. that he wanted
Okay,
to
well, let's
give
hear what
us.
you have to say, and then, so the person's not here tonight, but they may,
He's in the Zoom.
Okay.
He says that his mic isn't working.
oh, that makes sense.
not
He sent me some information. He said that the downstairs portion of the proposed home is mainly going to be garage space with a small game room. So the square footage of the house in total is expected to be in the 1,500 to 1,700 square foot range.
well, his sound was just working a second ago. on here.
Oh, was it?
Oh, good. Okay, but go ahead and
Can you guys
finish.
hear me
There it
okay?
is.
We haven't opened it up to him.
Yeah, we aren't ready to talk to him yet. So go ahead with what you wanted
He
to share.
can, I think, speak for himself, what he had sent me regardless.
Okay.
I was just reading what he had sent me. So if he can speak, then.
If that's who we heard, is that who we were listening to? So
Yeah,
I'm,
his sound is working.
okay. All right, so I'm going to open it up to public comment. We want the project proponent first. I am not driving this boat, so I'm hoping somebody,
Sam Dawson is the
Right.
proponent.
Sam can you get Sam Dawson up for us? And he'll get more than 3 minutes as the project proponent.
Hi, all. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
We can. Do we have
Hey,
a,
appreciate that. Hey, yeah, I just wanted to hop on. I'm actually sitting on site right now in the downstairs unit. And so I wanted to call in because we weren't going to go all the way through with plans until working through the variance process. But this truly is, it's a single family residence that we're building for my family. The 3-unit property was bought as an investment. And so some of the confusion, there is this parking area directly behind the main 3-unit structure today. And it may have been duplicated on the quick sketch that we did, but the parking that's on this site currently is only for the 3-unit property, with the grade running up to the top. And I'm a general contractor, so I've sketched out some plans of what we plan on building, but there will be 3 additional sites just east of the center point of what was the legacy dividing line, which you would use for parking off-street, along with access to the single-car garage that would be underneath. So it's largely storage space below. You are exactly right. It's about 5 or 6 feet of grade change. So the main floor of the house will be at the elevation of the driveway to the east, and the lower portion really just to accomplish the fact that site is really graded. So instead of having a big wasted crawl space, that's now storage and garage access from below. So all of the construction of the site, the parking for the residents would all be on the R1 zoned portion of the property. It just happens to be, and I actually spoke with the legacy owner, and they were kicking around ideas of using the lower space for commercial, which required additional parking requirements, which was why the lots were combined originally. Had they not been, it would have been a pretty easy conversation at this point, but here's where we are. So I have chatted with Kyle and with city engineering, and they did confirm that the curb gutter and sidewalk was required all the way down the main street, which I actually think is a good thing. It creates some additional separation for that building, because I think that road historically is just kind of crowded over up against the building. There's about 10 feet there separated today that curb gutter sidewalk will now kind of help create a buffer. So there will be parking maintained on the west portion of the 3-unit along the street. There's 3 parking spaces in the back of the 3-unit. There's a couple you could squeeze into the driveway. And then in theory, so then what I put for the unit on the top, you'd have 3 exposed parking spaces on the lower portion in front of the garage door, and 2 additional parking spaces up on the shared driveway portion on the east side. I know I threw a lot at you, but I wanted to make sure I could hop in, and I'm happy to chat through anything else. I agree that those were sketches for me, so apologies in advance. But before you go too deep into drawing a lot of this, I wanted to make sure we walked through this process first.
Do you intend on grading?
Yeah, so the grading that will happen will just simply be the excavation for the foundation. So the garage slab underneath the residence will be at the level of the lower portion of the R1 lot. So you'll have maybe 6 to 8 inches of grade from the far left, which there's a demising fence there today, to the face of the new structure. And you'll have your normal 1/4 inch per slope. But that means we'll excavate into the hillside only within the footprint of the residence. So you'll in essence be building a daylight basement that doubles as a garage in this case. So at the very top of the lot, the floor level of the residence is going to be very close to what you would expect if you had, like what you had suggested earlier, where you just build at the highest elevation and cantilever the residence out.
So I'm still uncertain. The 3X parking that's on the R1, we'll call it the R1 lot,
Yep.
that's for the new house, or that's for the existing triplex?
Everything is for the new house. So the idea is this will maintain the 3-unit as a standalone residential rental property, and then the upstairs up lot property would be a standalone. That fence line that exists today would be the divider between the two properties, both parking, use, everything.
Okay, that helps. Commission, and, okay, so we've got room for sidewalk, curb and gutter. Any more questions?
So where's the parking for the triplex?
Where it is right now.
Same as existing.
That's right.
Nowhere. There isn't any, basically.
There's the ones in the back, these.
Oh, the 3 in the back?
On the old
Okay.
highway and the 3 in the back.
No, it isn't the 3 in the back. He says that's going to his house.
Right,
Yeah.
but there are 3 existing right in here. So if you look at the aerial,
fenced
No,
There's
that's
3 and
fenced
3.
off.
That's a backyard.
the aerial imagery we have here. that
That's a current parking area today. You drive past the unit on the easement to the north side, and there's 3 units, 3 parking spaces behind the 3-unit today, along with street parking out front.
And that's above the retaining wall, right? There's a retaining.
It's below. That, the retaining wall is on the true dividing line of these 2 legacy parcels.
Right. And so these 3 parking spots that belong to the triplex, or whatever that is, the commercial building, where, are they on the east side of that retaining wall?
West.
They're on the west side.
So here's
Where is it? But
There's parking behind the building.
the right,
Behind the building, how do you get to it?
you're getting
You
here.
drive down next to the
See,
stairs.
do you see this? Like this?
No, yes, so that's how you get in there?
Yeah.
Is that, okay, so we can't see it
Correct.
from the street, in other words. Okay, thank you.
Correct.
Okay. Commissioners, anything else clarifying
That helped.
information we need?
Were you planning on putting a sidewalk on the, even where the triplex is? Along
Yes.
Ski Village?
Yeah, so it's both required, but ultimately we wanted a divider there. So the entire south side of the shared combined parcel will get curb, gutter, and sidewalk from the shared driveway all the way to the east side, all the way down to the front of the building. And we've been in contact with Public Works on the specs for that. But like I said, I think the secondary benefit there is that actually creates a buffer space between the existing building and the road, because right now there's really not a divider. So to your point, I've seen someone park there before. That's not intended to be parking. By putting curb, gutter, and sidewalk, it allows you to put a small decorative fence and really maintain that separation of the building. That I think it'll make the whole corner look a lot better.
Well, how do you get more than a couple of feet from the cantilever part of the triplex to the road?
So that there's a small pop out you see right along there. That will be
Yeah.
pretty close. I think that's probably a 3-foot setback from the
That's
back
what
of
I thought.
sidewalk. But now it'll at least maintain a sidewalk there, because currently, if you walk on that side of the building, in essence, you're walking on the street, even though it's a wide portion of the street. So this allows, both my daughters are here. We were skiing today, so it allows you to walk kind of in front of the building and not feel like you're at risk of a car out there on the road.
Yeah, oh, by all means.
Sam, how deep is the lot north to south? The new lot, or the R1?
The R1, I'm actually shooting grade on it tomorrow. I went out there and looked at, it's roughly 5, you called it right on, it's probably 5 to 6 feet.
No, how far from the property line on Ski Village to your back property line that runs east and west? Not the depth.
Got it.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not showing.
It's a 50 by 125 parcel, hence the reduced setback. So the structure will be 30 foot, so it's a 15-foot setback in the front, 5 on the back.
And the plan, the diagram shows you adding 4 parking spaces behind the unit, and then on the aerial, it says 3. And I think that's much more likely to fit. The maneuvering room for these parking spaces is going to be a little tricky.
He'll have 65 feet on the west side of the building.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It'll still be to maneuver and pull back out, it's going to be it'll work, it's just tight. 50, it's what I wanted about the 50 feet. Those are my questions.
Okay, anybody else before I ask other folks up to talk to us?
Yeah, how soon would you be planning on building something on that land if the permits were obtained?
Yeah, so we're eager to get started right away. I mean, we want to spend a lot of, we live in Reading, but we like spending as much time as we can here. So we have to get through this process, and then my draftsman's kind of on standby to get started. So by the time plans are drawn, calculations are done, we work through the building department. It would be a late spring, early summer start to be completed towards the end of the year would be the intent.
Okay. We have one raised hand.
She has
Okay.
Okay.
Right, okay, so anything else, commissioners? Okay, thank you. So now I'm going to open it up to folks that have arrived here, or people who would like to speak to us about this agenda item. You're welcome to come up to the mic there and let us know who you are.
Name and address, please.
Well, you don't have to do your address, actually.
95 Ski Village Drive.
Have to speak into the mic.
So, yeah, and we also are recording it, so it's, yeah, we need to hear you.
And so how are they planning on accessing this new building?
Office, we can't answer you.
Oh, well, Kyle, well, so this isn't really a back and forth, what we would like for you to do is let us know your concerns, and so we aren't going to, but we'll take that all into account,
Okay.
and after we listen to everybody, we'll try to make sure everybody understands the project.
Okay, so what are they going to do about snow removal?
Right, so that's, again, we aren't going
And
to
that-
answer questions, but
Okay.
I understand you're concerned about egress and ingress, and you're concerned about snow removal.
Yep.
Okay, that's good to know. And you live
And parking.
in that neighborhood?
And yes, I live the road just to the east that you guys that's how I access my property back against the hill.
Are you using so you have the shared driveway?
Yes.
Okay.
What's that road called?
It's 20 years ago I had it abandoned when I had my house built.
Okay, so,
And there is no parking on that. 30-foot wide easement that I have, yes.
okay, so, so it's a private road for access for people for you and other.
Which I'm the only one that accesses it because I'm back against the hill.
Okay, so parking.
And I maintain it all the way out to Ski Village,
You plow it.
plowing and
Okay.
everything,
Okay, and
paving.
our understanding is
Okay.
okay, so those are, anything else?
Yeah, and if this does turn into an Airbnb, that is going to be a mess with parking because there's already a problem in that area with Airbnbs and parking.
Okay, all right, so we just, it's 3 minutes per person, so,
Thanks.
thank you. Now, it's an R1 zone at this point. Okay, who else would like to come speak? And you have 3 minutes?
Okay. I'm Annie Mesa, and I live at 1308 Highway 99, so right directly bordering that property. And the owner of the property is out of cell phone range and won't be in range until Friday, and won't be back in town until mid-May. So I'm kind of talking for him. There's a fence between the triplex and his property, which is half an acre. And about 15, 20 years ago, he built a fence along the entire property. And when he was building it, he said, "This is not the property line. The property line is actually 10 feet towards the triplex." And I don't know if this affects this project at all, but he wasn't going to deal with it at that point because it was the feed store at that point, and people were using it, that little driveway to unload stuff. If it hasn't, I don't know if he has ever handled that because that property has changed hands multiple times over the past 15, 20 years. I don't know if it's come up when there's a sale, if it comes up on the title company search, all that. I don't remember him telling me that he has dealt with that, but basically the property line is 10 feet beyond that fence towards the triplex. And that, I think, creates quite a problem for the people parking back there. So, that's all.
Does he own it all the way down to the,
To
Yeah, the
Sean's Road, yeah,
okay.
Oh, all the way up?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Would somebody else that's here this evening?
I can say something.
Okay, sure. So wait till you get up to the mic. Let us know who you are.
My name's Tom Merkel. I own the house across the other driveway, 105 Ski Village Drive. And it sounds to me like this thing's going to create a big congestion problem there. I mean, we all have company and everything else. People come. Where are they going to park their cars? There's no parking anywhere around there. And if they're supposed to have a two-space parking for that new unit they're going to put in, there's no parking along the front. You know, it seems like they're going to crowd everything in there. But I don't know what they're actually building. Is it a two-story or is it a story and a half? A two-story? And they're going to turn it into a B&B or whatever? They're going to have people coming and going in there? I don't care for that myself. That's all I got to say.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, anybody else like to speak with us this evening? Or I'll go to the, we'll check on these. Vaughn?
We have a hand raised. Johanna.
Okay, can we have Johanna and get the timer going? Okay, Johanna, go ahead. And we can't hear you.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself.
Okay, now we can hear you. Okay.
Okay, thank you. So I was just kind of looking through the project just to kind of see how this compares to other projects we've been doing, and I agree with some of the comments about, the plans seem a little incomplete. It's hard to tell what's happening, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, overall, I think having some new construction would be nice to improve the neighborhood. However, some of the comments I had were about it doesn't seem like there's adequate parking at the parcel, and so that it would impact city streets. It's close to the Spring Hill hiking trails, just 1 block away, and that the Spring Hill parking could overflow onto the city streets. So how is parking going to be addressed? It seems that the existing on-site parking may be in jeopardy due to ownership issues with the easement, and that may be what the last speaker was talking about with the 10 feet. It wasn't clear to me if these 3 apartments are apartments or if they're like 9 STRs, and if that's happening, and if they're properly permitted or not. And it seems to me that a smaller residence could be built without having a variance. So it seems, because I'm not sure if it's a good idea to do setbacks and things like that, because how is that going to impact the neighborhood and the other people living there and whatnot, the neighboring properties. And variances, are we setting a precedent for all projects to have variances? Anyway, and I was just asking, are there architectural plans? And maybe they don't need to be submitted right now, but I was just curious because it was hard to tell what was happening. And then when they do build, how high is the structure going to be? And let's see, because I think 25 feet is a good height for any building that we build in the city. And then, are there any CEQA requirements? Because there's a nearby wetland. And then, have the neighbor concerns been addressed? But,
You have 30 seconds, Johanna.
Yeah, it was just a little confusing because And those are just some thoughts I had. Anyway, thank you very much.
Okay,
But
thank you,
overall, I was thinking it is nice to have a new home there. It's just, how do we get there?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Johanna. Does anybody else have their hand raised?
Nope.
Okay. Do the commissioners have any questions we need to ask again
Yes.
of the proponent? I could ask can we have the project proponent?
Not of the proponent.
What? Did you have?
I just had something I wanted to voice, but not necessarily to the proponent.
Yeah, I think we need to talk to Sam Dawson again. If Sam is available, I think we have a couple more questions. Okay, Paul?
Well, I'm a little confused because if the intention is to make this an Airbnb, where are we at with our ordinance, and is there an available licensing for that purpose? Kind of putting the cart before the horse. I'm confused on that.
Well, it's R1, so it's not allowed.
Yeah,
Yeah, but he said he was building his own house there.
yep.
Right, but I mean, was talk of Airbnb also in here,
Well,
so that's
we
why
were- those
I want
were
a
our
clarification.
questions.
We can make sure that in the accepting, if we accept this, that we put in there that it's R1 zone confirmed, and that will mean no Airbnbs.
Okay.
Has anybody read what the city council passed?
No,
Because I think they took out the R1 exemption from the ordinance, and it's just residential, commercial now. Don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure that's how it ended up.
That none are allowed in residential?
Well, no, but they didn't designate different residential zones.
okay. so-
interesting.
But residential zones can't necessarily, can only have
They're
a,
limited,
yeah, very limited.
yes.
Okay.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so commissioners, other questions of
Yes,
Mr.
about
Dawson?
that. Have you had the lot lines surveyed?
Nope, that's also would be happening as soon as this was. The site across the street was surveyed, so I have kind of within a few inches points, but there will be a final survey as a requisite of working this through building.
Well, it's because of that back lot line that may be questionable whether,
Yep. So the easement in reference by the gal, that's actually a recorded easement. We've had conversations about that. I actually just rebuilt the fence that she had talked about. So it's a recorded easement specifically for access to the back of that existing property. It's on title. Which is why when you look at the site map, it shows the jog. So while the owner does own to the middle of the existing easement, that easement jogs back at this dividing property line. So it wouldn't impact the residential development at all.
yeah, I saw that little line. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
That's
You
it.
bet.
Okay, and I had a question regarding the, that shared driveway. So the site plan shows this footprint, this 25 feet going out halfway into this shared driveway. So I don't quite understand how, if this driveway is not, it sounds like this driveway is for the sole use of the person who came to speak with us this evening, and yet your site plan shows this little rectangle going halfway into that. One, is that actually part of the lot? And two, how would the new house be using, would you be using that shared driveway? Explain your relationship, I guess, about that shared driveway and your plans around around the east side of the lot.
Sure. So when that road was abandoned, it was a legacy city street. And when it was abandoned, the property divided down the middle of that easement and it went back to the property owners that had access to it. So any property that is adjacent to that easement would technically have access. The intention is there's no use there. And I fully understand his position on that. So while my property line goes to the middle of that existing driveway that he has the easement benefit of, the building setback would be measured from the edge of the easement. So that would remain, the only thing that would happen to that driveway is he would end up with a half of a curb gutter sidewalk improvement on the ski village side. But the building has to be measured off of an easement. That's a building code. But the reason why it shows jogged into the middle there is technically we would own 50% on the what would be the west side, and the parcel to the east owns the other 50% to the east side, of which he has a recorded easement for access indefinitely while that easement, no differently than how we're using the easement to the north side of our existing parcel, which is why he said, the property line's in the middle, which is exactly right, but it's a recorded easement for use and access to the site that we have.
So do you plan on using that space for anything, or just going to that, where the dotted line is and 10 foot in where the house starts?
Yeah, so what I had on there, just on that quick sketch of a site plan, because parking was one of the questions, was you could use 2 overflow parking spaces off of that driveway, because the existing driveway is not 30 feet wide. So parking on an easement that's used for access to all sites in connection to it. Do I expect to use that for parking ever? Most likely not. So that would be the only thing you would end up ever using it for. There would be an apron access that's poured as part of that curb. So in theory, you could park a couple of cars up along the structure off of the asphalt if you wanted to long term.
Okay, so let's be very clear, because it's very confusing to the audience, because they don't have the diagrams. How many parking places have you designated for this single-family residence that are not the one on the road, the easement road, but in front of your house on your property? Is that is it 4 spots, 4 parking spots plus the garage?
I think that's how I originally sketched it to the comment earlier. Is it more like 3? It could be, but it satisfies the residential need was the intent.
Most of us don't have 3 in a garage to park at. So I just wanted to let the audience know that there are on his property already three solidly designated parking spots plus his garage. And that's not on the road, the easement road on the east side.
The shared driveway, right?
It's, okay, so that doesn't even include the little thing he could squeeze somebody in if he had a big party. So he's got a lot of parking, actually. It's not bad.
And where would the front door be which way would the front door be facing? How would you be accessing the house? And again, I'm thinking in terms of that shared driveway. Is that where the front door would be, on the east side?
So there would be a front door along the south side centered on the residence facing Ski Village.
Oh, okay.
That if you were walking up the sidewalk, you would walk in there. There will also be a man door next to the garage door on the lower portion, which will most likely be most of ingress, egress for residential use, because you're parking below, you're walking in downstairs, walking up the stairs, and you're in the residence.
Okay.
Snow removal?
Snow removal just sounds like, this is the city takes care of snow removal on Ski Village Drive.
And it's just a house.
And it's, like the rest of us, there'll be a berm in the driveway, I suspect.
Well, I have questions about that, but on a different night. I don't understand the mentality behind it, but okay.
Okay. Commissioners, any more clarifications, questions of the project proponent, or I'm going to go ahead and, nobody else has raised their hand in the interim? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close the public comment portion, and now, commissioners, time to sort out what we're going to do. I'm going to start at your end, Alan. You have to.
I'd like better information. I don't think we have quite the information necessary to make an informed decision.
With the discussion about the grading.
Yeah, the details and the grading. Topo is a big issue on this. Dimensions and stuff are a big issue. And to have some topographic information and even larger plans with clear dimensions and things like that. Sam, I think you can get there, but and even get your variance and such, but I'm having a hard time understanding your diagrams.
So we're going to pause for a moment for the train to go by. Maybe.
It's taking its time.
Should be beeping again here soon.
Is it in great shape? Once it's short, they fix their wheels because of the spill. Oh, there it is.
That wasn't bad, though.
Maybe not. It's not squeaking.
I know.
Weird. they grease the tracks.
Okay, okay, go ahead, Alan. Well, can you be more specific about where your concerns are to give, are you concerned that there's not, the grading
I'm
won't
concerned
produce
there's
a
not quite enough,
building?
to change our standards and provide a variance on this, I'd like to be able to have plans that were larger and more legible, just so I can judge it more clearly.
That it warrants a
Yeah,
variance?
that it warrants a variance. It sounds like it does. I just have I don't feel that the detail, the information here is enough for me to judge it completely.
Because a smaller house,
It's on Ski Village Drive. That's very steep. It's slick. We have snow. There's already been complaints about parking around the area. Those issues that push space and grade those issues exist on this particular project. If we had more information to where we could judge how those issues affect development on this site, I could more, with a clearer understanding, I could more effectively or more readily support the project, support the variance.
and so you're concerned that, in fact, they would not be able to put 3 parking spaces in that outdoor space?
Yeah, that it would work the way it's diagrammed, yeah.
Because of the grade?
Because the grade's in the space, yeah. Coming off of that crowned road, that now they're gonna get a driveway in, how the parking will work. I like looking at plans.
No, I want to understand.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to needle you at all. I'm just trying to understand, because
I didn't think it was that bad.
I felt like there might be enough information, but I want to know what I might be missing because of that. So that's why I'm asking you for more specificity.
The grades that are gonna, that apron, the driveway opening into this new property, that's gonna be a relatively steep section of road where his parking area hits Ski Village. That's gonna be relatively steep. How's that gonna get warped and then flatten out enough to get 4 parking spaces and then into the garage? And I know he said there's only gonna be about 8 inches of grade change in there. It appears more to me, and I don't wanna, it sounds like he knows what he's doing. He's done these before, but I've worked on a lot of grading plans, and it looks like it's going to be tight. And if it's going to be tight, I'd like to, before we provide a variance to develop it this way, I'd like to be more confident that it would work.
And is it possible that we could condition it in such a way that we could approve a variance and condition it in such a way?
Can we condition a variance?
Could we condition our approval of a variance in such a way that there would be, that they could still build the project as they imagine it, and I'm just asking, like we were talking possibly of a condition of approval that it not become a short-term rent. Well, I guess we can't because there's not the R1 anymore. I'm just wondering if there's a way to do that so that we could get this done tonight.
I suppose we could condition it. I suppose a condition of approval for a grading. We don't oftentimes see grading plans.
No, hang on, please.
We don't oftentimes see grading plans. We see, the site plans and things like that. If as part of, will we see this again?
We wouldn't, because it's a residential construction, so it doesn't get any design review, there's nothing else. And because the whole parking business is an existing non-conforming use, that wouldn't be.
No, I don't mean for it. I mean the new project, not for the existing one.
We wouldn't see it again.
We wouldn't see it again?
Unless we can't get there tonight. We wouldn't see it again because it's a residential.
Yeah,
We don't have any.
Parking looks like it levels off.
It does level off. I parked there today.
Yeah.
It does, but I was one car. you know, there's, if we're gonna get 4 before we get to a a
Three-ish. Yeah.
3-ish, okay. It looks tight. That's my concern.
Okay.
I'm assuming they have to prepare a grading plan to get their building permits.
That would be a question for Kyle. Kyle, do you want to chime in? Do they have to have a grading permit in order to get their building permit?
Depends on what they're taking.
I'm not sure what the requirement on that is, but you could condition it that they will have to submit a grading plan to be able to be granted a building permit.
Sam, you're gonna create a grading plan before you build this, aren't you?
Well, we have.
Correct. Yeah, yes, and it is a condition of the approval of the permit to have a grading permit when you're moving more than a couple of yards of dirt. So there will be a full grading permit assigned.
Can I ask who you're working with? Is that okay? Can I ask that?
We've closed the public
I'm
hearing.
not gonna,
I know,
okay.
but we've closed it to keep things tidy.
okay, that's all from me.
Thank you. Okay. Paul? Nothing for Paul? David?
So, are we voting on 2 things, Kyle? One, an exemption to allow the additional unit to be built because it's less than the 12,500 square feet, and then a variance as well for the setback?
So the variance will be for both the minimum parcel size or density requirement, as well as for the setback. And then you will also vote on the CEQA exemption. Because whatever CEQA action is taken has to be a separate action from the rest of the project.
I think you're right. Isn't he asking for more than one variance?
So
He's
we're,
asking, there's 2 variances.
so does that, so we can combine the 2 variances into one action, or do we have to have, am I on the right track? Do we have to have 2 separate actions for 2 separate variances because we're doing lot dimensions and setbacks?
No, the variances can be combined into one action. Adopting the CEQA exemption will need to be a separate action. That's a new Brown Act requirement. But yeah, the variance can just be one action.
Does that
Okay.
answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You could say they need bigger setbacks, but then they can build the same house, but it's gonna have to be longer, then you're gonna lose more parking spots, so it's kind of like a double-edged sword of reduce the variance and then you get more parking spots on the lot, but it seems like we have to also approve them to build it. And then what would be the maximum size if they were only allowed an ADU?
Yeah, let me check the requirement.
But aren't they technically allowed
700
2
square feet or
ADUs
something.
now?
Yeah,
No, just one ADU.
I thought that the state passed something that you can have 2 ADUs now.
Oh,
Did they?
you're just a font of information tonight. Wow.
That's new to me, but 2 ADUs?
yeah, the square
There's the
footage requirement.
JDU, there's a JDU and an ADU. Sorry.
Junior and an adult.
But that's still 2.
Right, but one's within the existing footprint of the house, and the other
So it
can
has
be
to be roofed as
detached.
one, and then one can be detached?
One detached, one within. That's the junior and the accessory. Kyle, go
So
ahead.
what's the max size of an ADU?
Yeah, 1,200 square feet is the maximum for an ADU.
Okay,
Okay, anything
Does that
else?
help?
well, it's just, I mean,
That's
no,
huge.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking, it's really
I was
huge.
thinking 500 square
Me
feet or
too.
something, yeah.
I was going 750.
650.
I know, that's plenty of
That
room.
was it, I'm good.
Okay, thanks. Belinda?
Well, I was out there too, kind of looking at that property, and to me, the parking is kind of already pretty level. It's just the house, you know, it kind of goes a little step up, like they had a pad for the original house. So I'm not so concerned about the grading, and I think after getting this clear as far as that there's quite a few parking spaces. I mean, really, a normal house has 2 in the driveway and 1 in the garage or something. And that's on a pad, so I'm not, this is fine, and he's, you know, I mean, how many times do you have that many do you have that many visitors in a 1,500 square foot house? Unless he's, I don't know, maybe he's a party animal. I can't make those judgments, right? So I think that the setbacks are fine, especially considering he really understands his neighbor's access road, that isn't his to use for his own parking. I mean, you can squeeze in that little 10-foot area, but he seems to have enough respect that he doesn't want to mess with his neighbors.
Well, also, the existing building down below is set forward, so giving a variance on Ski Village, I'm all for. I think that's fine to me.
It would be consistent with the
Yeah.
existing
It would be consistent.
landscape.
I don't think it sets precedence either. It's existing conditions.
Might
dealing
add
with.
that.
Anybody else?
I think the offsets are
I'm done,
kind
I
of
should say.
backwards. I think it should be 15 feet on the back and 5 feet on the front.
Oh, yeah, no kidding. Well, or 0, like they do some places. Vaughn, did you have something
No,
else to
I
add?
think I got the gist of the whole thing, and the proponent mentioned something about cantilevering down, but it sounds like that's what's going to happen anyway with stair stepping down part of the, and so the parking's going to be, the garage is going to be kind of at level, but the rest of the house is going to, looks to stair step. I don't have any questions. I'm not having a problem.
It's a
with the
straight
project.
two-story structure, though, isn't it?
No, he hasn't said.
No, he did. It's, yeah.
I thought it was going to be one story. It doesn't
No,
matter.
it's the garage is down below, and the house is up above.
Yeah,
Well,
but it's a storage game room,
but it's just a stair
kayak
step.
storage, whatever.
It's one on top of the other.
Yeah.
It's not a stair step. Isn't that right, Sam? It's just a two-story house?
It looks like a two-story
With,
house.
with the basement portion being the garage.
Yes.
And a
So
porch.
it'll look like a single story up on the shared access to the east. You'll have a 2-story garage below, residence above,
Right.
facing west.
Yeah. And I guess, I see what you're saying, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
that's what I was trying to say anyway, maybe not well. I don't have any questions. I don't have any problems with the project.
Okay, so I like Alan's comment about that in terms of the existing streetscape, I would like to bolster our findings to include, so Kyle, it looks like the direction this is going is towards approval, but I would want our findings to include that the setbacks, because of the existing structure, shortening the setback fits the streetscape. I'm not wordsmithing it very well, but do you get my point? Does that,
Yeah.
are you agreeable? Are the commissioners, do you understand what I'm saying? I just want,
I do,
think
yeah.
we need to maybe bolster our findings a bit about that.
It's the way of
So-
explaining why we gave it.
To explain why we gave
understand.
it. Okay, so because normally we have a deeper setback,
Yes,
but in this case, because the building on the same lot has a very short setback, by shortening the setbacks on the upper part of the lot, that fits the streetscape.
I mean,
By about 2 feet, according to him. and the
So
plan.
because we already have a building with a short
yeah,
setback, having another building up the street with a short setback is going to fit the streetscape, as opposed, even a deeper setback might look a little odd even. So having it up close to the street won't be an abrupt change in how the street looks.
okay.
See what I'm saying? Okay, I think we're getting close. Are we ready for a motion?
Is there a reason why he wouldn't just go 10 and 10, 10 in the front and 10 in the back? Using your talking point with
Oh.
regards to that.
Besides, he was just trying to reduce both of them by 5 feet.
Yeah,
All right, I changed my mind. Want me to make the motion?
Sure.
and then the other thing is I will say, but I mean, I've had neighbors that were contractors before, and they tend to have multiple vehicles, and I'm sure he's gonna use up every single one of his, but that's fine.
This is vacation up here, though.
True. Well, and I just, one more thing to add, I'd say that we get a bonus because we get sidewalk, curb, and gutter to tidy up the streetscape here. And I think that's a plus. So, go ahead, Alan.
Can I do it as simple as I
We
move,
have
I
two
move,
motions.
we approve the two variances proposed by the project proponent? We have to vote on that all by itself?
Sure. Do you want to add about, that we want to include the
Oh.
matching of the streetscape?
Not in the motion.
Well, we don't have to, okay. Because we're changing the, because we're changing it from the staff report findings, we're bolstering the findings potentially, then that would be part of the motion to change the staff report, to reflect a change in the findings.
That's not part of the motion though, is it?
Would be. Well, what we usually do, we would say, when we go through making the motions, we'll say, including the conditions as
Okay.
we.
I move we approve the two
I'm
variants.
confused, and that's not easy to do.
Hang on.
Uh-oh. Excuse us, folks.
Yes, I have to continue. I'm sorry.
Oh, right, they get a nice copy.
I move we approve the two variances and amend the original
Amend Go ahead.
original language to reflect the reasoning behind our accepting the variant, or the reduced setback on the side towards Ski Village.
Got
Is that
that,
enough,
Kyle?
Kyle?
Is that enough for you to work with?
Okay,
Okay, we have a motion?
we have a motion.
We have a second.
Second.
Belinda seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? None? Okay, we need another motion.
I move that we accept the categorical exemption of the CEQA reference. Is that right?
Works for me. All right, Belinda moved. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Vaughn seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Okay, the project passed unanimously for the CEQA exemption and for the variances.
Good
Okay.
luck, Sam.
Moving on, commission and staff comments. Kyle, do you have comments for us? Oh, you're muted.
I think he said no.
Oh, now you're supposed, we got thumbs up from our person. Can you, I can't hear you.
Yeah.
There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we
Okay. Yeah, I don't have any comments.
Okay, commissioners, comments?
Yeah, there's
Paul?
one thing I've been meaning to bring up, I would have brought up sooner, and I'm not sure if it's in our purview to ask this, but often I have people, citizens of Mount Shasta, come up to me and, what have you heard about the new crystal shop going in, or the new donut shop going in, and I always seem to be the last guy to hear about things. Is there any way, maybe when we actually get a planner, that we can get a little notification of the new things that are happening, or is that not, are we not supposed to be entitled to that information? Because I get asked about things.
Juliana used to tell us things.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
she would give us a lovely
because
update.
She'd give us little hints about something coming down the pipeline.
But
She was a
I
great
always
planner.
want to seem intelligently addressing a question. When somebody, a citizen, knows more about something that's happening than I do,
It's
it
'cause you live out in the
fundamentally
woods.
seems wrong
You live
to
out
me.
there in
Well,
the
I think,
country.
I get what Paul's saying. I think a lot of people think because you're on the planning commission, you know every plan that is submitted to the city and that it comes through our eyes. And so they think that we should know everything about everything that's happening, and you have to explain to them, no, it only gets given to us if it's something that needs to be moved on. The planning department takes care of all of that stuff independently. of
But
us.
I would like to know, though, for my own self, so, I don't know, maybe sometime
I don't
in
know,
the future.
Kyle, are you in the loop? Is there anything you want to share that's coming up that we wouldn't otherwise hear?
You're muted.
We
again.
can't-
Just am I muted still?
No, you're
No,
muted.
we can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, the Danco Mountain Townhomes project is coming up, which I think you're all aware of. Yeah, it sounds like the kinds of things that you were talking about aren't coming to the planning department in general. They're kind of outside of the purview of what we do. For things that are within the planning department that might be coming to you eventually, I'm fine with letting you know kind of advance notice of things that are going on if you'd want that.
Yeah, that'd be lovely.
Yeah.
And, maybe you should just shoot off a little email to Kathy, because she probably knows all the businesses that might be opening. I mean, she knows a lot of stuff. We haven't hired him to know that stuff.
I guess planning department.
I know we still I get a lot of questions about the signing.
Well, that's-
Up and down North and South Mount Shasta Boulevard.
And with that being said, also on Maple Street, nothing has yet
Still
been
have
done about the
banners.
banner signs that are in violation of our sign ordinance. So we need some
Code enforcement.
Code enforcement on that. Again, because I
to talk
had
to
one of
our
the
city
businesses
manager.
tell me, I just spent $2,000 on a new sign, and I got to look across the street and see that guy's banner.
Talk to
And
the
he's like,
city manager.
That's definitely who you want to talk to, Todd Uhas, our city manager. I think
Yes.
he's our one to talk to, and I think he'd be very open to
Okay.
hearing that. Because presumably there still is a system, a form you can fill out. Goodness knows I've filled them out. Goodness knows nothing ever happened. But maybe now we have, Todd's there. I think we may even have a code enforcement
I
officer.
believe we do.
So-
Or we did.
Yeah, so it's a good time to
Okay.
go ahead with that. Go ahead, another comment?
I have a comment, yes. So Kyle, and Alan addressed this too, because we don't have anything here for anybody that shows up in the audience that shows what's happening. I mean, they come in cold. If they aren't, some of our more professional commenters, they know where to find stuff. But these people were just neighbors, and they came in here and they didn't have anything to look at. There's nothing up on a screen that shows the plot maps or anything. And it's really unfair because it felt like they left with not great feelings about us.
Well, maybe we could have copies here for people. to
We
come.
have had in the past.
Oh, but not tonight.
Unless we get them and set them out, it's not happening because there's nobody here.
Seems fair.
But is there any way that we can get these kinds of things up there on the screen?
I could prepare a PowerPoint with some basic information,
Especially
site map.
this next
satellite
thing,
map.
the dance.
And with the new project coming up, we're going to need something like that. I know people are going to want
Yeah.
to know.
For the Danco project, the project applicants will be, they have like a whole presentation that they're ready to go through as well, describing everything with visual aids and whatnot.
Yeah, so it would just be nice for the audience. And we had 5 or 6 people here, I guess. And, they're just the local people. These aren't the ones that come all the time, so to speak.
Right.
So I felt bad, because I could see they weren't understanding our confused conversation because we were trying to figure it out. And then we figured it out and it was a done deal. So they were still like, what? Okay, that's all.
Right, so if we can make sure, a copy. We have had copies
Or
here in the past.
If we can figure out a way for
Public needs to be well-informed.
Kathy to make an extra 1 or 2, and
Yeah.
then we can bring them in with our packet, they can shove it in our packets.
Well, usually we have somebody from,
Let's try and
we usually have staff here, but tonight, because of different different obligations, we didn't have a staff person with us tonight.
I haven't seen staff in,
Yeah.
So Todd wasn't here
Not the
last
last
time?
3
Or Kathy,
meetings.
or anybody? Oh,
No.
Kathy's been here.
well, it's
Yeah,
also.
but
Well,
it's
Kat-
not part of her job description.
Well, it's-
I had a discussion with her about that. to be
Right.
here.
Yeah.
Well,
And
somebody's
it's been 4
supposed to
months since we had a meeting.
Okay, so can somebody tell me about berms now? Because I don't understand the snow berms.
In the
Why
middle
can't
of
they
the
just
street?
push them past the,
because otherwise you push it into the middle of the street.
Past the what?
Because
Past the
people like to
driveway?
hike over the
Well,
berm to get to the
I mean,
business.
on my street, and I'm 400 feet higher than town, and we don't,
It's just time.
So, yeah, but this isn't
Is that
really
what
the
it is?
spot for that. It's a public work, time. Some places require you to some municipalities require you to shovel your sidewalks so that they're always accessible.
Well, I'm all for them just leaving the friggin' road alone, because then there won't be a berm, and the cars can go through and they're fine, but.
No.
it has to be closed.
Not here.
All that berm was
I mean, no, I mean, I'm just saying, my street doesn't get that deep, but I do have all-wheel drive, so it's different,
It
but.
gets that deep.
But the berm, I don't know, it just seemed like they could push it in front of your yard just as easily as they could push
We'll
it.
have to
in
tell
your
you
truck.
about the winter of
It's not as
'93
easy.
sometime.
Yeah.
It's not as easily. It just takes more time,
So, I
Yes.
have a question.
Yeah.
Who would make the determination on this new parcel what its correct zoning is?
Good question.
Is that something that
Is it a
you would
rezone?
do, or does that come to us to determine?
And is there a rezone application?
Yeah, I mean, because you combined a C2 and an R1, does it go to now automatically get rezoned to the lesser designation or the greater designation? It'd help with clarity for everything that's happening on that parcel.
But that is becoming an R1 parcel, right? I mean, it
It
is.
is now.
Right.
It's both.
The upper one that's now,
It's gonna be
it's a
R1
single,
now, right?
it's a single
The
parcel
line
with
is
both
at their
designations.
property line.
Right.
But it's a parcel, Kyle told me earlier, it's a parcel with both designations.
Well, yes, but the west half of that parcel is painted C2 and the east half.
And where the house is gonna go is supposed to be an R1, right?
Right. So
Yeah.
is there, this is a housekeeping thing, it sounds like. I don't know how long you're going to stay with us, if it's going to be something that we would want to tackle, but it seems like a housekeeping issue that might need some attention.
Yeah, I'll look into it. It is odd. Usually that would be sorted out when the combination happens. So yeah, I'll look into it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Any other comments from any of you? I had a quick one. Did all of you see the email from Kathy about the planning commissioner training?
Yes, too short a notice.
Yep.
I can't make it,
Okay.
but
Otherwise, I'd love to
there's
attend.
another one in Oroville, and then there also, because I wrote because of the storm, I was going, I'm not sure I want to deal with this, to go to Reading at 9 in the morning. And she wrote me back and said, the person that is putting it on said there's another one on March 3rd in Oroville, and then they're trying to get one that is going to be virtual, so that it will address the problem that we're having,
Yeah.
getting there.
Right, and there are some other things, actually, because I'm on the Sacramento Valley chapter of the American Planning Association, and they're working up some virtual ones,
Yeah.
and I'm going to try to get those
It's just
distributed.
a long way, it's a long day and then an hour on each end. And
Right.
it's
No, I
a
agree.
drive, so.
I agree. No,
Plus,
I've done
I really
them.
wanted to get out of town.
Right.
They are helpful, though.
They
Yeah,
are,
no, and I signed up until the storm came. I decided, no, I'm not doing this.
right, well, so, well,
Are
I'm
you
glad that people are interested. Was I going to go? I didn't plan on going.
I've been, but
Yeah.
I wasn't planning on going this one.
I've been to a bunch of trainings.
The
over the
reason
years.
I would like to go is because of the CEQA thing. It gets thrown at us every single time, and I would like to know what's new with the CEQA thing, because it's like, I've heard that it's losing its power, so to speak, but it is, I would like to know what the latest on CEQA is. In fact, somebody should come in here and tell us.
I think that'd be great. Let me see if I can find one.
Stuff changing in terms of water enforcement, isn't it? The way the wetlands are.
Have you heard
Train
anything, Kyle, have you
expect-
heard anything about changes in CEQA? Or loss of validity, or?
What kinds of changes?
Just that it doesn't hold as much weight as it used to.
Thank you.
There's a lot of recent state legislation that kind of carves out possibilities for mainly housing to be approved without being subject to CEQA when it normally would, if that's what you're referring to.
So-
CEQA is very broad.
Yeah, it's very broad. Okay.
Okay, anything else? Okay, future agenda items. Number 6, we have our next week, Danco Mountain Townhomes, initial study, mitigated negative deck. When are we going to see that, to start reading it? Because that usually takes a while to read. I'd like plenty of time.
So the draft copy has been noticed.
So we can, could you send that like tomorrow?
Yeah, I can have Kathy send you all a copy. So the public comment period is ending tomorrow, I believe. So public comments will be responded to in the final draft of the mitigated negative declaration. So that likely won't be ready until next week. But there shouldn't be many changes. So if you can review the draft one, then you'll be able to review the bulk of it ahead of time.
That'd be super helpful, thank you. What was that?
And the agenda should go out soon.
Okay.
Don't we need it by Friday? Because isn't that the 72-hour deadline for the 28th?
Right, but I would just like I'd like more time to chew on the initial study.
They've been giving us this stuff earlier.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, she
Not
got
this.
it like Tuesday.
No, this
this week.
came to us way before Friday.
Oh, right.
So she's been
right.
much more
Oh, yeah.
ahead of.
Which is great, but I'm just saying, as soon as we can get this, that'd be helpful for me. Okay. That's it. I'm going to adjourn our Tuesday, February 21st, 2023 regular Mount Shasta Planning Commission meeting.
I will say I've gotten to be an expert at berm removal. I've got